try to do mostly videos on monetary and preserving wealth and that kind of stuff that goes along with gold and silver and whatever it is to try to get out of the system as far as the monetary end of it goes with the dollar or wherever country you're in, that their fiat currency. But I'm going to veer a little bit on this one, and I think there'll be a few more just because it's just a hot deal and everyone's involved with it and it's creating havoc. I think it is detrimental to nations and societies. But with that, I am not a doctor and I'm not giving advice. I'm reporting what I see, what I've seen, things I've saw in the past. But anyways, with that being said, I want to talk about order followers. What are order followers? A couple little things. Records show that Hitler only killed 5 to 7 people by himself personally, only killed 5 to 7 people. And they were mostly women he was involved with. The order followers that Hitler had, the order followers of Hitler, they had killed, estimated, over 6 million people, primarily the Jewish populations. But the order followers did that. Maybe Hitler gave the orders, the people underneath Hitler's high-ranked order followers gave the orders, and from there, that's what had happened. So with that, I'm saying order followers. Why am I talking about order followers? Well, how about Stalin? How about Mao? How about Lenin? How about Saddam Hussein? How about Castro? How many were they personally involved with? Was it them? I mean, they gave the orders, or his or her henchmen, his top of the tier order followers gave the orders, and then the other order followers followed through. With that, most order followers know they're doing what they're doing is not right. It's not moral, but they do it because that's their job. That's how they feed their family. That's how they survive. There's not very many times that order followers will break rank or whatever you want to call it and say, hey, this is against my morals. What we're doing here is bad for society, bad for people, bad for the system. That does happen, but the number's not high. It's mainly run by order followers, justifying why they're following these orders, because it's maybe not benefiting themselves or their families, but helping them to not be on the other side of the order followers. So if they stick with this and do what they're told, even though it might not line up with their morals or their thoughts or what they think is right, they do because that's their job. Just a wide scope of this, you can say, well, there's the police, there's IRS, Internal Revenue Service, there's judges, teachers, most government employees, Hollywood, anyone who has the limelight or the attention or the followers are in that position of having other order followers, or even some of those people are order followers themselves. Like I said with the IRS, the judges, teachers, government employees, no matter what government, they're all order followers. I'm sure if they thought about it and took a few moments, they would say, well, what we're doing here, is this really right? Should we be taking this money or this stuff from these poor families or these poor towns or these poor communities? Should we be doing this? Should we really be following through? As a police officer, I stopped this lady who is driving this very beat up vehicle. She has 2 kids in the back of her car. It was a later night. She ran through a stop sign. So I just happened to be there. I stopped, I pulled her over, and I gave her a ticket. Would that have hurt anybody? No one was there except me as a police officer. I'm playing a role here. Not talking about me, I'm not a police officer, but no one but me as a police officer was around. If she would have ran through that stoplight, it would have hurt no one. But I'm following orders. I pulled her over, gave her a ticket that she obviously cannot afford. And it's not the best thing for her family. Just simple little things like that. Same with working for the Internal Revenue Service, also known as the IRS. That same type of deal. So most of the laws, orders, mandates that are in place are against the Constitution of the United States, or usually against the founding doctrines of other nations. But those in power that have been elected, that they say are serving us, are doing the exact opposite. They're putting in what they want is best for them, their cronies, and they don't really care about those, most of them don't really care about anyone that they're taking the power and the food out of their mouths. So what about this mask mandate thing that's going around, the social distancing? Well, on the mask mandate thing and the social distancing and this whole thing with this, should I call it a corona scam? There's been thousands of medical professionals as of late that have come out to say, and OSHA employees, ex or current OSHA employees have come out and disagree with the stuff that's going on with these mandates and all this forced things that are being involved from a small number of politicians and medical, what do you want to call them, doctors or medical specialists. I won't name names, but usually those ones that are working for the politicians, right underneath the politicians' wings, they have not seen a patient in 30 to 40 years. They really don't practice medicine, but they are the ones saying, we better do this or else. And then since they've said this, they haven't seen a patient still yet and haven't really been involved with this thing in an actual functioning deal. They go by models. And how many times are models correct? Very, very few models are correct or even close. Most of the time they're way off and they're exact opposite. So that same goes for the social distancing, and then that gets me to the cases. Oh, here, there's more cases. It's dangerous. There's more cases. When is the last time that the number of cases actually mattered for something that has a 99.97% of survival rate? And on that, when you get over it, you get over it. There's nothing detrimental to you. There's nothing that really happened. That's it. If you're old, elderly, or the immune compromised, those with comorbidities, those with diabetes, obesity, that kind of stuff, yes, they're highly more susceptible to have something happen and a negative aspect from this thing. But that goes with the same thing, with the flu, with the common cold, with back in the day chickenpox. When you're allowed the chickenpox, it was the same deal. The elderly were susceptible. If your child has chickenpox, do not allow them around grandma and grandpa if they have not, had the chickenpox when they were younger. People, if they've never had it, do not allow your child who has chickenpox around them. That's the way we did it. Why? Because it was a lot more harmful to them. That was it. It wasn't this cases. Well, now we have an outbreak. There are 75,000 people with the chickenpox, and then a daily tally of, well, today in Colorado there's 1,700 more people with chickenpox. Here in Montana there's 2,700 more people with chickenpox. Here in Florida there's 37 more people with chickenpox. And Florida, we had 2 elderly people get the chickenpox, and then they died because they already had issues with the heart or issues with breathing. But they got chickenpox and then they died. That was treated differently. That's how it should have been treated. That's how it's always been treated. This whole thing with cases is just to push this narrative, in my opinion, of lockdown in a control state, police state, if you will, military state. So anyways, on that, I just have one little story that goes back with the cases and the order followers. Not really with the cases, but the order followers. A couple months ago, somewhere close to me, there was a story of somebody who was in Cub Foods, and he was pushing cart. He went into Cub Foods without a mask, and he grabbed a cart and started pushing it. And there was a lot of people with masks on, which it seems to be the norm at a lot of different states or counties. And just out of the blue, a gentleman rushed him, flipped his cart, jumped on him, and started hitting him and pounding him. The guy who rushed him had a mask on. The guy who was the victim, who had his cart flipped and started being beat, did not have a mask on. No words were spoken. That's what happened. Well, long story short, the guy ripped the guy with the mask, the aggressor, ripped the other guy's shirt, and that exposed that he was legally carrying a firearm. Because of that, the guy, the aggressor, the assaulter, got off, walked away, and left him alone. The guy that was on the ground, he got up, and the story goes is he got kicked out, and I think the other guy got talked to or kicked out. There was no police that were called. Nothing else was involved. I haven't heard anything since if there's been any charges pressed, but that was an order follower. That was someone saying, hey, I'm wearing a mask because there's a mandate in place. Because someone says we have to wear masks. You come into here, you're not wearing a mask. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to police you. As an order follower, even though no one gave me the direct order, I am just policing you. So because of that, I'm going to rush you, jump you, and start beating you. Is he getting paid for that? Is that his job? Absolutely not. But in my opinion, he's brainwashed enough to do something that is not a common thing in society, not a common reaction. I bet you, before this whole thing started, that guy is not even thinking that way. But because of all the order followers, and order followers create more order followers. So, just like people follow for the most part, so if people who are following the orders of wearing the masks start seeing more and more people not wearing masks, maybe some of those people will stop wearing masks, even though they're following orders, but they're starting to see the wave, the light change. And that's what may or may not happen also. I hope it does, but so I just got to say, with all this stuff, all these order followers, what's happening with this country, with all these government schools in this country, with Australia, what's happening over there, and other countries, with all these order followers putting all these unconstitutional orders or illegal orders, they're following these, and they're harming people in society, and children and families and single adults. The whole plethora are being harmed from order followers. There's one or a few people that give a directive or say this is best, and everyone else that follows the orders are, in my opinion, the ones to blame because they are following orders. Even good or bad, the order followers are the ones highly to blame. Just think about that. Mention to someone else. I just had to get this out. As always, try to protect yourself, stay vigilant, protect your wealth,